Hello and welcome back to the Boston Commune.
This week's incredulous installment will feature commentary from Comrade Scott, Joe, Ellie, Chris, and myself. Discussion includes the Supreme Court ruling that Hershey's African child slave labor was totally legal and totally cool. Restaurant owners would really like it if their employees stopped asking for living wages. Cicadas are humping planes and crashing cars. The Huey P. Newton segment, we promised, community self-defense, and why we make fun of Trotsky.
Please do us a favor, share this content, do yourself a favor, enjoy your Epoch.
The media didn't have to, acknowledge that it just peddles officials' lies. The government didn't have to admit that it was corruptly selling wars of aggression based on disinformation. Instead, it was just like, wow, you really put one over on us.
Up the energy, up the groove.
I have I have a bunch of not a bunch, but I have several. If you need DSL cables, I have them. Yeah. Ethernet.
Right, I'll stop that.
Who fucking calls them a DSL cable? What am I?
DSL?
What is it? The 80s? Oh, damn, dog. Where'd you find this? All right, Joe went offline, so...
Bring it out.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Some fries, motherfucker.
That was nice.
Who dies, motherfucker?
Oh, God.
Hard eyes, motherfucker. All right, so Joe's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Basically, I guess Nestle did some slave labor. They did an oopsie.
They did an oopsie, and they got the Supreme Court.
And they
basically.
Well, the motherfucker's back. Surprise, motherfuckers! It's right.
They did an oopsie and they enslaved some kids, and the Supreme Court said,
It was like, that's cool.
You know what? That's not our business. If you guys want to do slavery, so long as you keep it over there in Africa.
Freedom of speech, free speech.
Yeah,
you know what's the amazing thing
that's what the First Amendment is when you do slavery.
This is like it was like a lawsuit from 16 years ago.
Oh God.
The lawsuit was originally filed in 2005 over misconduct that started in the 1990s.
Joe, you got to bring it down always. It's fine.
Would you display this as a trophy?
I don't know what to follow that up with.
Yeah. Slavery. Oh. Child abuse. Hey.
Yeah, it's hard to make jokes about that.
Am I right?
White people are the devil.
Yeah.
You've changed, man. It used to be about the music.
Now you're all about slave labor. Child slave labor. It's awful.
Used to be about the milk duds. Now it's all right. Well, got any more stories, Joe?
Just one more.
Right?
We can just riff about the dead dog. I mean,
this one's actually kind of funny because it's like
it's about a dead dog.
No, the thing that I was going to say.
Oh,
go on.
It's another one of these. It's another one of these articles out of the business press, like hemming and hawing about companies having to pay low-wage workers, like
business
better than the bare minimum.
Oh,
tight labor market returns the upper hand to workers. Low-wage workers found something unexpected in the economy's recovery from the pandemic: leverage. Ballooning job openings in fields requiring minimal education, including in restaurants, transportation, warehousing, and manufacturing, combined with shrinking labor force, are giving low-wage workers perks previously reserved for white-collar employees. It often means bonuses, bigger raises, and competing offers. Average weekly wages in leisure and hospitality, the sector that suffered the steepest job losses last year, were up 10.4% in May.
Leisure and hospitality.
Labor Department data show outpacing the private sector overall in inflation. Pay for those with only high school diplomas is rising faster than for college graduates, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. It's a workers' labor market right now, and increasingly so for blue-collar workers, said Becky Frankowitz, president of staffing for Manpower Group Inc.'s North America operations. How is that a name of a company?
Yeah.
Manpower Group Inc.
Manpower Inc.
No, there's the money. I got the money. I got the money.
No, and the best part is that Manpower Group is spelled as one word.
That's weird.
Manpower Group. Man Bear Pig.
Yeah.
Super cereal.
Madman.
Man.
It's like how I used to say madman is one word. Madman.
Madman.
Yeah.
Bob Madman.
So low-wage employers are boosting pay and offering gift cards to applicants who show up for interviews, along with sign-on and retention bonuses, and sometimes, even immediate employment before drug screenings and background checks.
Oh, hey-oh!
I was waiting for that.
Like, that's a benefit.
Yeah, normal labor practices.
We'll make you start working before we ask you to pee in a cup.
All right, keep going, Doug.
I think is that it?
Benefiting workers' higher labor costs can have consequences for employers in the form of narrow profit margins and missed sales if a restaurant section remains closed or orders can't be filled quickly because of the staffing shortage. And when they do raise wages, employers are attempting to pass some of the higher costs onto consumers, which could be contributing to the current upsurge of inflation. No, it's not. All these factors act as a potential brake on what is expected to be rapid economic growth in the second half of this year.
Joe, what is contributing to the rise in inflation?
It's mainly that people aren't being paid enough, and people are having to take out loans.
Oh.
It's not quite the answer, but that's the gist.
Sounds like another bubble.
It's because the government is just printing fucking reams and reams and reams of fake bullshit money.
It's also
government's
that.
reaming people?
For like hedge fund dipshits, like it always does, and none for us.
And nothing gets created, it's a real value. Like, we don't get any of the benefit from any of this. No public services, nothing goes back. It's just moving money around like day traders, whatever the fuck that is.
It's honestly worse than that because it's not even like real money, it's ones and zeros.
Those dastardly motherfuckers to trade during the day.
The utility, most guys, right? They want to trade at night. You can't be trading at night.
What madness lives in the mind of the man who finds trading during the day funny?
You sound like Biden.
I lost the thread here.
That's fine.
But I'm still going. I mean,
what the hell is this? Some kind of tube?
I'll find the terminus somewhere.
Terminus, the end.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry.
I will.
Fuck off.
Smooth transition. I like trains.
Oh, I love trains.
I got into an argument with someone about why trains are better than Uber. And it evolved into train bad because you can't use it like a U-Haul. You can't move your piano or out of your apartment in a train, therefore train
You can't
bad.
take a grand piano onto the red line? This is news to me.
No, actually, I've seen plenty of people using the train as...
Boys, I have a project. No.
Yeah, you can use the public transit to move all your shit. It's hard.
It requires more effort.
It's hard.
But you can do it.
You can do it, though.
Yeah, I was just thinking, have you looked at all the trains that have been built around the world, right? And how much faster than they are here. And how they just kind of say, oh, we can't build it, we can't afford it, blah, 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 but we can afford nukes. And we're building, like 100 billion in nukes, pulling out of arms treaties.
Yeah.
But, train too expensive. Like,
train too expensive, but we can waste $1.5 trillion on a plane that can't fly in the rain.
Exactly.
It also shoots itself.
I was thinking about this earlier today. When Americans talk about how the successes of these nations that successfully at least transitioned into like a socialistic model, whatever their achievements were, they always get like shat on because...
But freedom.
My freedom.
No matter what you do in a nation that has essentially like no existing capital within it, it's going to be very difficult to raise the standard of living, quality of life for anybody. So when you talk about successes like increasing literacy rates or having more kids in public schools or creating more industrial jobs, like that's a huge fucking success. In America, we could be doing that shit like with a snap of the fingers because we have so much fucking capital. Like there is so much money in this country and we don't do any of that shit.
Exactly.
No, just let it get hyper-concentrated.
I love how Cuba has a higher life expectancy than us, though.
Yeah.
Also, our life expectancy is actually stagnating.
Yeah, it's stagnating, dropping, and Cuba's been under the most brutal sanctions, despite like every country in the world voting against the sanctions except the U.S. and Israel, pretty much every single time.
I mean, for fuck's sake, they're working on a vaccine for cancer.
Yeah,
their vaccine for COVID is 92% effective. So,
dude.
Their vaccine for COVID is really effective.
I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say that. I was going to say that was the one good thing Obama did was loosening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
loosening the sanctions on Cuba.
Yeah, because they don't.
I just find it hilarious. This article just makes it sound like paying people more money to do stuff that they already do is like a horrible thing.
Well, it is because we can't hyper concentrate the wealth for like 5 people. You know.
The other. Well, never mind. I don't need to give Obama any more fucking credit than he deserves.
Well, the other good thing he did was the Iran. Also,
okay. That's what I was gonna. That's what I was.
Those two are two materially good things that he actually did. So
I just feel like that gets so dwarfed by the rest. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Obama, for the 2 things that you did.
Yeah. Not saying like fucking blow the guy. Just thank you.
Oh, show me that. I'll do it.
Don't do that. No. All right.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to keep. You ever see Obama and Jesse in the same place? You're just gonna have to hold them down.
Speaking of DSL.
What? Okay, yeah. Make a transition out of that. Have fun.
See, the thing I have the editing power, so I can put whatever I want in post.
You like chop up our words
this
and make it
true.
sound like we said stuff that we didn't say.
Yeah, like I said, you should blow Obama. I would blow Obama.
Yeah. There, you don't even have to.
You don't even have to edit it. I just said it.
It's just you would blow Obama.
Yeah, there's no way that I would like make a song out of that.
I would blow Obama. Blow Obama. You know, something like that.
Probably the last thing I would do is just make a song out of you saying that and use that on loop.
Yeah.
This is a good time for my audio to come back.
I love the Johns. Save America. Below Obama. All right, I'll stop. Jesus. Oh my God.
Oh no, we'll just let you keep going until you decide that you're.
You sure?
I would blow Obama. I would blow Obama. Save America. Something like that. Blow Obama. Blow John. Blow. Yeah. You don't even have to edit it. I just said it. I love America. Something like I would blow Obama. Jesus.
All right. Anyways, so today we have. Well, actually, do we want to do Ellie's segment first or what?
How's it taste, motherfucker? I don't. Whichever.
Up to you guys.
Ellie, is your segment? Is your segment? Is your statement gonna be long? Is your court statement gonna be long?
Shuffling papers.
I know I'm fucking lost here. I forgot to put on my slam.
There you go. Put the slams back on. It probably won't be too long. I have actually. It's sort of a double thing, but neither of them are long.
All right, sorry.
It's short, two shortish things that are related. Yeah. Do you want me to do it? You guys want me to do it? Should I do it?
Just do it. We're teasing it for too long. Just do it.
Okay.
Oh,
okay. I'm Ellie, and you can't make this shit up.
Woo!
Woo! Theme song goes here.
You can make this shit up. Here comes that Ellie.
Okay. Okay, so basically right
Cicadas,
now
cicadas.
it's all cicadas all the time.
Oh yeah, they're all coming back. They're gonna eat us.
When I first saw this first thing, I misread it and I thought that the cicadas prevented Biden from getting somewhere, which is, it turned out, not exactly true, but there was
Comrade cicada.
Comrade cicadas. As it turned out, it was like Biden went to the UK, I guess, and there was a bunch of reporters that were supposed to get on a plane and go after him and report on him or whatever. But their chartered plane was overrun by cicadas, so did not work. So it's like, I don't even know how to feel about that. It just kind of happened. The only other good part of this article was that they figured out that they were like, well, cicadas are attracted to like big vibrating things. So
Ooh.
they probably basically were just like trying to have sex with the plane, I think is the takeaway here. Just like a whole bunch of cicadas that were like, hell yeah, get me on that plane. So that didn't...
His personal guard just whips out his cell phone and he's like, 411, every sex shop in the area. Oh, fuck off.
Get a big pile of vibrators. Turn them all on, put them in a pile.
Did you say Pope
Just
Riders?
build a giant dildo robot.
Pope Riders. Get a bunch of Pope Riders.
What?
That's what I heard.
Pope Rider.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Gotta
it
go
any
Pope
more sense
riding.
the more times you say it.
Chicken Nugget is gonna go Pope riding. Okay, what's your second story?
The second story is that somebody got in a car crash in
With the cicada?
Cincinnati. Yeah, it said an amorous cicada was blamed for causing a car crash. Basically, somebody in Cincinnati was driving with their windows down. The cicada flew in through their window, hit them in the face. They drove off of their street and crashed into a utility pole. But
And then when he went home, he said to his wife, "You should see the other guy." Ha ha.
Police advised motorists to keep their windows closed for the time being. Now, apparently the person driving was okay, but their car was like pretty fucked up.
Oh, it's always the case.
Insurance should be able to
Comrade
collect from
cicada.
Yeah, we are a pro-train podcast. So
Actually, I don't know if like killing civilians is probably.
What about injuring them?
It could have been a nice guy. I don't know. I'm just
Not even sure what the gender of this person is because the AP did not specify.
Okay.
They were just a driver.
I'm gonna pretend the guy was a Nazi.
Sounds fine to me. Okay. Gotta fill in the blank somehow. Anyway, that's all. I'm still early.
It's a little excessive.
I don't know how long this goes for. I genuinely don't know.
It was already too long. My segment is not that good.
I mean,
oh, there we go. Okay.
Is that sound drop supposed to last until the end of time?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a long one too. Shit.
Yeah, they were mad about that one, Joe. Jeez.
Okay, we have as a special treat, as a very sweet treat, we have Comrade Goop Goop on the pod. Gup Gup. Goop Goop. How do you say it?
Okay. Oh God.
Anyway, we got
visible confusion.
We got Comrade Gup Gup on the pod.
Gup Gup. What's going on, dude? Jesus.
Well,
like, the name is
I like when you don't really know how to pronounce someone's name.
Adele Dazeem.
just like breezing past the syllables that are like.
I just want to say,
it was a cat name.
Aww.
Yeah, Gup.
69% of the vote reported the mayoral race in New York. Eric Andrews is going to win.
Nice.
Nice, yeah. I mean, he sucks, but whatever. Sorry.
Anyways, Comrade GupGup is here to discuss the inequity that he witnessed in his travels abroad. And we are also going to discuss the life of the great Huey P. Newton. I remembered to get the P in there this time, so...
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it just sounds like Huey Lewis in the news or something. Like
Huey and the Newtons.
He just sounds like a guy, yeah.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
All right.
Okay, so speaking of New York, I was in New York over the weekend. I went to Philly to visit my family and friends, kind of like a halfway, and they came up. Haven't seen them or really been outside of Boston for about a year and a half. Moved here on New Year's 2020. Since then, have not really left the area. And I was in Philly for the day, and then on the way back, spent the night in New York. And what I noticed was just how everything is still the same. Like, it's exactly what you expect. Nothing has really gotten better. It doesn't matter what city you're in. It's just walking past, you have everyone pretending like things are back to normal. And on the other hand, you have people that are like tweaking out, just like laying half dead on the sidewalk, screaming into the void, and just, you know, wondering how many people around me are completely oblivious and how many people are feeling just like I am, you know. Could have gone better, could have gone worse. Like, it's good to see my family, good to see my friend, but didn't really go the way I planned it. Planned to do a little bit more, but anyway, I was thinking about that, and then, you know, what do you do about it? Everything that's going on, everything that has been going on. Like, I feel like, especially with the, I don't know how to say, I don't want to say it, but like the domestic bill that came out recently, like labeling anyone who's anti-capitalist.
Oh yeah,
the direction that we're heading in. Yeah, like, yeah, like how the writing is on the wall, and I was just thinking about that. I was like, damn, this is really like, it's just obvious where things are going, and
so
it's going to be a reaction.
Am I the only person here who, when they saw that, the immediate like first thought that came into their head was like, so does that mean I should get like my passport updated for like when the next Republican president
it
wins?
wouldn't really make a difference.
Yeah, dude, like, honestly, the way that I have been thinking about that is sort of like, this is already pretty much implicit in existing laws, but it's definitely not good that it's so blatant now. This is almost like an effort to re-normalize the anti-communist, anti-anarchist sentiment in the American consciousness, like thinking about leftists as literal terrorists.
If you've read the reports, and there are a couple of bloggers that write about it in good detail, it's just what they expect, and they have like plans to literally invade the cities and treat the cities like occupation zones. There's like the boomerang effect, you know, everywhere else they invade, the same concept coming home to speak. And I don't think people here really get what that means. I think they just dismiss it, or they're busy with their own lives, like, ha ha ha, you know, maybe they think it's a joke, but I don't think it is. Like, I see the writing on the wall, especially as climate gets worse and pressure starts to ramp up, inequalities get worse. Like, if we have inflation, like hyperinflation especially, it's like shock. Like, how much shock can you take? And everyone's like individual lives kind of fall apart in the meantime. But when you hit a critical mass where like enough people's lives fall apart all at once, that's when shit like goes from normal to not normal really fast. Like, it doesn't happen slowly. Like, it happens slowly and then it happens all of a sudden, you know? Like Yugoslavia is what I've seen a lot of comparisons to.
I think it was Lenin who said that some weeks, like, years happen in weeks, and other years, like...
Oh, yeah. There's decades where nothing happens, and weeks where decades happen.
Yeah. It's late, so I kind of butchered it, but that's more or less the gist.
What were you saying?
Jesse, what were you saying?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, and then when you hit that inflection point, when there is an awareness among the working class that shit needs to change, and it needs to change now, that anger and awareness can manifest in one of two ways. And I think an easy reference point for what that looks like is post-World War I Italy, where if you fuck up the socialism part, it's almost a logical response to swing way in the other direction. Somebody is going to take advantage of that working class rage and push a fascist message. And so when we talk about organizing, not particularly for reform, but for an actual working class revolution, we need to be very careful about the tactics that we deploy, which is a seamless transition into talking about...
Ooh. No, and I'm glad you brought up Italy, because with opportunists. Like Mussolini was one of those opportunists who pretended to be on the left and then pretty much sent everything to hell. Like that's the same type of shit we have to watch out for. Like the people going on like, oh yeah, we got to do this. It means that. Like socialism means Norway. Like that sort of shit. Like that can't fly either.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I did a pretty long segment about that.
So basically, like Huey P. Newton. I'll try and give a proper intro.
You don't have to. Dude, I could just put a fart noise as the.
I could.
I mean, that is true. Last month, I think it was last month, we did spend a solid 10 minutes just laughing at fart noises. So there was that.
Yeah. Who doesn't laugh at farts? You know?
Yeah, poop.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Anywho.
So poop. So anyway.
Yeah.
Clean slate. Anyways.
Yeah.
Huey P. Newton.
Yeah. So the book he wrote is called Revolutionary Suicide, and the concept is there's two types of suicide. There's reactionary suicide, which is when you react to your environment and you give in, and there's revolutionary suicide, which is pretty much when you decide, well, I'm going to die anyway, I might as well do it, trying to build revolution. Like that's the general gist of it as the comparisons of the two forms. It's just a title, like an explanation of the title. And my friend gave me that book, and I read through it, and it's stuck out as really the closest model to an actual attempt at a vanguard party that's ever existed in the U.S. Huey P. Newton and Fred Hampton worked together to form the original Black Panther Party, which the one that exists today is not really the same party. But in the original party, they had built a list of demands, and it was a big thing back in the 60s, 70s. Huey P. Newton was in Oakland, and then Fred Hampton was mostly in Chicago. And it caught on where people would learn about all of their rights and really try and enforce them while doing mutual aid and at the same time advocating for actual like political power. And at one point, Huey actually visited China and notated on the difference in how he felt treated like a human being for the first time, where the police there would like treat him like a person instead of like what he was used to, which was being brutalized. And I think that's something that back in those days especially, it's not the same even now where people acknowledge that brutality exists. Back then it was either didn't acknowledge it existed at all, or if they did, it was like, haha, that's funny sort of thing. Like the attitude was a lot more brutal. So the movement had to be a lot more aggressive. It wasn't really any room for half measures. And so he writes about his experiences growing up in Oakland and like all that. Like he got put in solitary confinement and, you know, all the things he went through and saw. And as he began reading and learning about these movements, they got together and they started doing things like putting together serious mutual aid, teaching people how to shoot, about their Second Amendment. They would use that in the angle of the people, like, you know, how to arm people, community to organize. They would patrol the neighborhoods to protect the neighborhoods themselves instead of the police, and also to protect the community from the police. So if someone was getting harassed or hassled, they would actually go up together armed and protect people to make sure they weren't getting, you know, having their rights violated. They would hand out, you know, like packets informing them of their rights, so on and so on. And at their mutual aid, it's worth noting, one, Fred Hampton was assassinated by the Chicago police, and two...
At a very young age, too.
Yeah, he was very young. And Huey P. Newton was also assassinated by basically somebody who was put up to it. And the whole time they tried to do these things, they were just subjugated to exactly what you would expect. Like, people were murdered. They would come and they would do things like throw all the food out, or like just real nasty shit without going into details. Like the whole time it was just anything good they tried to do was just offset and treated like, oh, you have no right to do this. And that was the story of it from start to finish. But it was a real solid attempt. And the book goes into a lot of detail of seeing the evolution of someone who gains that consciousness in real time, even in some of the worst of circumstances. And that's what stuck out to me about it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I see parallels to that now with mutual aid efforts and genuinely wholesome, good-hearted praxis being cracked down on by police departments as if they're, I don't know, unsanitary or dangerous somehow to the community.
Yeah.
I think when I mentioned the purpose of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, the phrase I used was gun safety. And what I meant to say was community self-defense. I don't know why I said gun safety. I think I didn't really know like where you guys were at, like ideologically, and that's one of the things that liberals don't like to talk about it. But
that comes because they don't like to face the fact that violence is never the answer. That's why we have the biggest military on earth.
Yeah, the state has a monopoly on fucking violence.
Violence is not the answer. That's why we have nukes. Like, it's just hypocrisy. I mean, it's like, it is. It's if they were more honest about it.
Like, completely destroys anything I have to say.
Wait, what?
Joe,
we love you. What's up?
Joe, did you throw your laptop into a crevasse and then hook up a soup can to it?
I hooked up a soup can to my laptop.
Sorry.
Come closer, Joe.
What?
Come closer.
That's what you said to me.
Oh God! Thank
You asked
you,
me, did I tie a
Thank you, Joe.
soup can?
Joe, wait. I just wanna ask Joe. Joe, did you ever do the thing when you were a kid where you tie like either two soup cans or two solo cans together with a string and you use them as walkie-talkies? Or are you too young even for that?
Have you done that?
I am way too young for that, unfortunately.
I did that. That shit's cool.
Holy shit!
The
wow,
voice,
yeah,
it goes, it vibrates the string, and you can hear the person's voice. It's so cool. Go to the Museum of Science. They have that shit there.
Alright, sorry.
They have a fucking thing.
Science many times that I've never seen.
Yeah, they have one of those things there where you can try it out. Anyways, whatever.
Alright, so I actually do want to bring this up, and
I'm still hung up on the soup cans.
okay.
Shut up.
Moving on.
The rift between the Marxist-Leninists and the Trotskyists really comes down to, like, do you trust the working class to organize? You don't need to, like, let your movement get hijacked by the petty bourgeois, elements of your society in order to, like, build a cohesive working class. One of the reasons for, like, increasing literacy rates is so that you can do political education. It's not like if you're poor, you're like too dumb to learn how to fucking organize. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a whole piece, I forget where it was, but it mentions like how if Trotsky was truly on the left, why was he able to walk around fascist Italy where they assassinate communists and socialists like on sight? Like that sort of thing. Like a lot of opportunism, and the divide came from like willing to make alliances with certain groups for power. I mean, does that sound like an accurate assessment or no? Like they didn't really have a rigid ideology other than like being opposed to capitalism, but only under certain circumstances that didn't benefit them. And if they did, then they would overlook things. I don't know.
I mean, the word for that is like social democracy,
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like the Mensky, or however you say it.
And like ultimately the shit that made, for instance, Alexandra Kollontai, the rift for her as a Marxist feminist was the position of women in society. And like the Mensheviks were unwilling to fucking move on that, For her, it was like the internationalism aspect of it. And for Trotskyists, who claimed to be the internationalists, they favored fucking engaging in war, where the Bolsheviks did not.
I mean, my favorite litmus test is like straight up just asking them, who would you support? And then going one by one through like actual existing socialist countries and actual existing capitalist countries. It'd be like, well, but Cuba bad, North Korea bad, China
usually
bad.
It's the white ones are good and the brown ones are not.
I mean, this topic is a whole discussion. Like, this is basically the whole convention issue. There was a poll. It was the voting a while back. I remember it was like all the questions for the chapter, right? And one of them was, should it be a working class party? And it was like half of them said no. I'm like, the fuck? How do you say no when that's literally the entire point of socialism? Like, how the fuck are you a socialist if you're against having a working class party? So it highlights the divide as like there's clearly...
That is one big pile of shit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I couldn't describe it more accurately. Like, are you for or against the working class party? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. I'm against authority in all forms, you see?
Yeah,
actually, fucking justification.
You can be an anarchist and still be for a working class party. Like, it's not actually mutually exclusive.
Yeah, no, it's like, all right, what is democracy? It's ruled by majority, right? So majority of people are working class, and they're like, do you think the majority should have say in the policy? Yes, all right, so we should have a working class party run things. Well, I don't think they should run things. Then shut the fuck up. Like that's basically where it ends. It's like you clearly don't agree with us. Just that's it.
I think the problem isn't anarchists. It's liberals. So yeah.
Liberals who pretend to be anarchists. Or
yes,
what?
Liberals who pretend to be anarchists.
Oh yeah. Wow, I'm not even mad. That's impressive.
Oh, you mean like hippies? I'm just kidding. We don't have to go there. Okay.
Christian cinema.
I'm more worried about people.
No, like Christian cinema. Like that's our fucking example.
Honestly, I'm not entirely unconvinced that she's just like a CIA psyop.
I don't know how much I'm gonna leave in posts of this.
I just leave that.
Honestly, I love when Chris drops the knowledge. I wanted to like highlight the importance of the Black Panther Party embracing Maoist tactics, which are like in China it was the peasantry, but in America we have different castes. And like the closest thing to the peasantry in America was basically Black Americans, Black and brown Americans.
I mean, I think the prison population argument is a pretty good indication of how like discriminatory things are, because we have, anytime I think about, all right, here's I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but it's related, I swear. What is the definition of freedom? It's what can you do without being jailed by your government? So America claims to be the most free country in the world. Clearly bullshit. By definition, it's the least free place on earth because per capita, by the numbers and by ratio, it has the most people in jail, and most of them are in there for absolutely no fucking real reason. And it's mostly like a caste system. It's like your chances of doing the same thing and being put in jail for it are radically different depending on who you are, what you look like, and where you live.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just in jail because they can't bail themselves out.
Exactly.
There's this metric called like expected life expectancy at birth. Like what is your like life expectancy like estimated to be like at birth? Like how long do you estimate a person to like be able to like live?
Yeah.
The average like expected life expectancy at birth of a Black person in this country is about 15 years lower than it is for a white person. So the average Black person is expected to live 15 years shorter than the average white person is in this country. That's also a fairly good metric.
Yeah, I mean...
That's like less than 60 or something, right?
Yeah, it's like 58 to 62, somewhere in that ballpark.
In Baltimore, they have a map of life expectancy by neighborhood, and you can see some of them are in the 50s or 60s, and others are in 80s and 90s, and it's like right next to each other, and it lines up perfectly with redlining with where people live. There's something called the white L and the black butterfly, which highlights all the racial segregation. And you can see it's an exact overlay. And redlining, for those listeners who may not be familiar with it, is if you lived in a certain neighborhood, the banks banned you from buying a house or moving out, basically. Like, you just got stuck there. So people will be like, oh, well, if they didn't like it, why didn't they move? They literally can't. Like, if you were there and all the jobs moved out, good luck getting a house in another place. You were just stuck there because every bank was like, well, they live in this neighborhood, therefore they can't get a loan, and they're stuck there. But if you live somewhere else, or you look different, you could get a house in the suburbs, not to mention housing associations would basically say the same thing, like, you can't live here. Like, all that shit is just systematic. And people try and erase it like, well, that was a while ago, but it's multi-generational, kind of like the same people who have money now or the same families who had it 100 or 200 years ago. Like, it's the same thing. They didn't earn it in their lifetime. They got it over multi-generations, and that's where the disparity really
85% of all wealth in the United States is inherited, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and those dynamics are just as true in Boston as they are anywhere else. I mean, Roxbury is majority black and definitely one of the poorest neighborhoods of Boston, whereas West Roxbury is pretty much the opposite.
I'm trying to think of the show. I don't want to say Daily Show, but there was a segment where they covered Boston, and I remember seeing it before I moved here, and it showed net worth, and it was like, for one group, like 500,000, and for the other, it was like $6.
Yeah, for black people,
something like that,
family
like something,
$8.
and it was like 6,000, like $6 or some shit like that. Like, I don't remember what it was, but the point was still
it's $8
fucking ridiculous
for black people in Boston.
Right.
Because black people are locked out of home ownership and are drowned in debt.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that's
any income they have is offset by like the mountains of debt they have to take on. Because not only is the entire economy is drowning in debt, but black people are particularly just completely fucked on that front. I mean, our whole society is, but they are fucked even more so.
The system here, the problem is people here still, because they're brainwashed, they still really believe that it's possible to reform. I think that's the problem, is they still really deep down like have not accepted that the system is the problem. Like, they still believe, if I just vote or if I just wait, blah, 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 and what is it? I've been waiting my whole life. Everyone told me to wait. It never comes. And next thing you know, you're like 80 years old and facing the same issues that your grandparents did. It's like that.
The only way to solve this, solve these problems is to burn the whole system to the ground and start from the ashes.
Well, I mean, climate change is pretty much going to force that anyway. Like, we're at that point where I read the headlines on the climate scientists where they say you got like 10 years until you hit the feedback loop. I mean, now it's not even like an option. Now it's like, in basically 10, 20 years, like the oceans will stop trapping heat. The ice will melt. We'll have like a blue ocean event. Like, we won't have a choice. Like, that will force action. But I think a lot of people worry that it will turn into the wrong type of action. And that's why we got to educate people.
I lack faith in humanity to not completely fuck it up.
I mean, it's either going to be socialism or barbarism. It's basically going to be like, either it'll be fascist, like eco-fascism, where people just do like crazy shit to protect theirs and destroy other people's, or it'll be people cooperating to try and improve life. Like, either way, neoliberalism is pretty much dead in the water. So it's like essential to bring as many people to our side as possible. And even if you have to appeal to like self-interest, like, fine, fuck it. But it's saying like, you will not be the one benefiting from this if you do that. Your chances are you won't be.
I mean, appealing to self-interest, the only thing that really works more often than not, because we do live in a society where like everyone has been like kind of brainwashed into like only thinking about themselves.
Yes.
Like, when you live in a kind of society like that, you kind of have to like make the appeals based off of self-interest, because that's the only thing people are really capable of registering these days. What's in it for me? That's what happens when you have an entire society that is conditioned to only think along those lines.
I agree with Joe. I don't know why that was funny.
I mean, to be honest, everything I've said in this episode was basically to get Chris to talk, which is why I haven't been talking for like half an hour, because he's been dropping gold nuggies. Wisdom.
Glad to drop some gold nuggies. I've just been in a weird place because, like I mentioned, basically, I'm at the point where I'm at, without going too much detail, my lease is up in August, and my job is dependent on grant money, and that may run out in September. It might not, but there's no guarantee. So obviously, I'm not going to like renew a whole year lease or whatever. But I've been thinking of what to do anyway, so I'm at the whole turning point where I'm just reflecting on everything, and I'm like, oh man, like now is probably going to be my only chance, like, going forward to correct course, so it's all relevant, like, personal.
It sounds like you're sitting in a perfect storm. Like, your housing is up around the same time that your employment might also be up. Like, you're just kind of fucked on all fronts, it sounds like.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Thanks,
way to see it, man, Phil. Good.
Well, it's like pressure. It's kind of before I'm kind of content with dragging my feet and going like, well, I can always think about it later. And now it's like, well, time's up, time to make a decision. And that decision, like I came here not for myself, but now that's not really like a thing anymore. It's done with. Like the point of coming to Boston is kind of done. So I'm like, all right, if the job stays longer, do I stay here? I don't really like my neighborhood. I mean, that's probably like the biggest thing. I want to live closer to a train because I like trains. And I don't live near a train right now. So that's probably like number one, but I don't know. I feel that. That's where I'm at. It's also like what's in store.
I miss living near trains.
Yeah, I've been staying in this apartment for as long as I have because it's right on the B branch, which sucks. Like lately I haven't really been able to take advantage of that. They just finally started running actual trains again. And I think they already switched back to shuttles. So, I mean, boo-hoo for me. Whatever.
Trains are cool.
Trains.
Oh, yeah.
Trains.
We wish we could always be near trains.
Oh, speaking of which, the T, I forgot to mention, the T actually, they finally corrected course on one of the bigger mistakes they made this year. They are finally resuming weekend service on the commuter rail, starting to July 3rd.
Good.
It only took some 7 months to figure out they fucked up.
LOL.
That's like, that's probably my least favorite thing is the lack of like late night service compared to like being in New York. I just took a random trip to Queens to like walk around food. They have like in Jackson Heights 24/7. Like you can just fucking walk around and go to markets. And I was oh no, I'm going to get stranded. Oh wait, they have trains that go all night.
LOL.
But here I've legit like got stranded because the trains don't run and I didn't know that at first. So I was like, where are the trains? And then I had to go the whole,
they used to run later
Lyft
here.
Uber route.
Not very much later. And also, like, sometimes on the website, they'll be like, last train leaves blah blah at this time. And you'll be like, great, so I should be fine. And then you, like, go to the station and it's barred closed.
The T did have, like, an overnight, like, pilot program for a while where they would, like, run the T into, like, 4 in the morning.
Actually, I remember that, yeah. I hadn't thought about that in a while. And obviously, we don't still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They determined, I think the language that was something along the lines, they determined it was cost inefficient.
Oh, yeah, that's like the whole argument I got into this guy. The country is not a business and like you need transportation, comparing it to other places. And his argument legit evolved into like, well, it's not fair to compare America to other countries, especially ones that are more dense. I'm like, this is fucking Boston and New York City talking about a high-speed rail. Like
we're not going to get more advanced than that in this country.
Yeah, no. We don't even have trains where I come from, really, on the West Coast.
Yeah, I was surprised about that.
I mean, that's the one thing I like about the Northeast. They do have more trains. Not enough, though. Need more trains.
Yeah. Definitely.
And even our fast trains are, like, not as fast as, like, high-speed rail. Like, I took the Excella last month from Boston, New York, and that got up to, like, 160. But still, like, that's not really the speed.
That wasn't fast enough for Joe.
That's not, like, high-speed rail is defined as, like, 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, how long did...
record show.
I took the Northeast Regional. It was my first time taking it. It took like 4.5 hours. It's like that same thing would take an hour if we had a bullet train.
The Excella was like 3.5.
That's still not fast enough, like you said.
Nope.
Yeah, no, Joe, you have a point. Okay.
It was totally worth it though, because like it's honestly like the amount of time spent traveling is still less than it would be like flying from Boston, New York, because you don't have to deal with like the 2 hours of like security that's like degrading and a pain in the ass to deal with, because like all you have to do with like Amtrak is like they just ask for your boarding pass and that's it.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I mean, I liked it. I love to watch videos of trains in other countries. Like China's built more trains than the rest of the world combined in the last like 10 years. It's like their whole country, even the middle of fucking nowhere, has trains that like connect you to. It would be like if we had a train in like Montana that connected to New York in 3 hours. Like it's that level of development. But it's I mean it's like all of Europe has it. I mean Japan.
Like they have enough. The amount of like track line they have in China is enough to get from like one side of the United States to the other like 3 times over.
Yeah, it's like 40,000 kilometers or something like that.
Mm.
And I say kilometers because it's like world units instead of like our imperial farts, which is like
miles per bald eagle.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, what? Could you get to the moon? Like, how far is it to the moon?
Probably. They're gonna build a fucking train tracks to the moon.
We lost track because we needed to find a new version of the system. We forgot how many units it was.
Alright. Trains. We love them.
Train.
I sucked Obama off on the train. There we go. And we love trains. Anyways, okay. Alright.
You gonna take his ass, Scott?
We're gonna do it right now. My name is Scott. Did I tell you that my name is Scott? You can find me on social media at Sweaty Wife on both Instagram and on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, where I do my silly music. Also, I'm on Twitter at DeathMullet. Joe, you haven't been on in a few weeks. Why don't you go?
Yeah, I know. It's been a while, but I'm back.
It's been a while.
As Pfizer emergency allowed me to not work extra shifts this week for the first time in 3 or 4 months.
Okay, and what?
Cool. What's your info?
I was gonna get to that. You can find me on the internet, most likely complaining about how the Red Sox starting pitching is eating shit the last month or so, or something else. Probably the first one. You could find that on Twitter at, what is it these days? JLFB96. I don't know how I'm forgetting.
What is it these days?
And
I can hardly remember.
Yes,
I don't think about these things. I just do. And you can find me on Instagram. Not that I use it that much, at JLFB1996.
I'm Chris, aka ComradesGupGup, and then also go by Way3 Edgy.
Woo!
Way3 Edgy.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent, Ellie.
I'm Ellie. You can't find me, but
right, I have to.
Sorry.
Okay.
We gotta do this whole thing.
Do it.
If you want a psychic reading, you should contact my headmate,
Darmok and Jalad Hatanagra. His eyes uncovered!
We're gonna do this every fucking week.
I'm gonna play this minimal amount of times this time. So.
Okay, you don't need it it's the whole 10-second drop. Yeah, no, you could email her. You could email Hava at Darmok
Dumbledore X Jujubee.
Yeah.
at gmail.com. DARMOK XJLAT.
Hey, it's come on.
When your email is so long and difficult to spell.
His eyes uncovered!
What did you say, Joe?
When your email is so long and difficult to spell that you can't even do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an email that I made up when I was 23 because, I had a friend who I had pissed off his girlfriend, but he still wanted to talk to me.
Dude, this sounds so much like a Blink-182 song. I was 23 and I pissed off this dude's girlfriend. And
really does.
I was trying to get drunk, and she didn't even know. It's fucking anyway.
Yeah, except no Blink-182 songs are never about Star Trek. I'm Jesse.
Fucking Jesus.
You can find me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/contingentsboston. Remember to hit up comrade-rosie.org, select the Getting Involved tab, and choose one or more mutual aid groups to donate your time, labor, and or money to, because people really need your help right now. Mwah.
Mainly the money part.
What?
Mainly the money.
Mainly the money.
Yeah, our PayPal actually, I will directly plug, hold on a second. I'm going to directly plug the ABMA PayPal. Let me just get the little slackaroony, rootin' tootin' toony up here. Yes. Ahem.
Sorry.
PayPal.me/AB Mutual Aid. That money will go to good fucking use. You will be feeding your neighbors.
Feeding them.
helping them get access to resources that they otherwise would not have.
Love to hear it.
So yes, please, thank you.
Yeah. Also, we got a Patreon. So go to fucking... What is it? Patreon.com/epicincredulity. You can also follow us on Instagram at Epic Incredulity. You can follow us on Twitter at the same thing. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. But more importantly, we got all those juicy, pretty, and lovely morsels on our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Epic Incredulity to get them. We love you. As always, every week we say, but tank dough.
But tank dough.
But tank dough.
Yeah. But tank dough.
That's another thing we say, Scott.
That's the Epoch. Oh my god. Good night, everyone.
Why we say that.
No.
I have like a
something like chittery and
chittery.
Yeah,
I mean,
what?
This is supposed to be like a bee.
The absolute fuck am I hearing?
It's a mosquito.
The closest thing you got to a cicada, I would be assuming.
Got them whales.
There we go. I don't know what that was.
That was a mouse.
Yeah.
It was a mouse.
That's good.
Some kind of little rodent, yeah.
All right.
Very nice.
Well, it's official. Andrew Yang will not be mayor of New York.
Oh yeah. With 90% reported, the New York Mayoral Democratic Primary results. It's going to be Andrew Adams, Andrew Yang coming in fourth. You fucking loser.
Fucking dork.
Yeah.